Hello, guys, gals, and my non-binary pals. Get ready to get locked into the vocal minority with Nick and Steve. Now streaming live on Really American Media. Buckle up for all of the day's need-to-know news. Thanks for being part of the resistance. All right, champions, let's hop to it. 3, 2, 1, and go.
That's our cue, dude. That's our cue just to get rolling, get things started here on the podcast. Welcome to the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve for the very first time streaming on the Really American Media platform.
Yeah, this is fun. The Vocal Minority, Nick and I are radio guys. We've been doing this for a long time, but we have recently joined the world of the interweb. And, true talent gets snagged up quickly, right? So now we're with Really American Media.
That's what you're going with, huh? That we're true talent?
Yeah, clearly. So, we have a website, we have social media, we have all sorts of real things.
Yeah, we sound professional, but go check us out for yourself. You can check those socials. We're on TikTok, we're on Reddit, we're on Blue Sky, we're on YouTube, and we're on others, but those are the majors. I like to talk about the majors and not the minors, you know?
Yeah. The vocalminority.net, did you say that? I was just looking at our YouTube chat. So, yeah. The vocalminority.net, and yeah, find all the social medias. But the one that matters most is here on the YouTube channel, which we have our own, but Really American Media is where we're hanging nowadays.
Yeah, and it feels good to be hanging here, dude. So, thanks for having us, Really American Media. I appreciate it.
Indeed. We're here to sort of run down the political news of the day that you need to know, and we are wide open for interactivity. You know, Nick and I started this on the radio, and we always used to take phone calls. And everyone has a phone, but no one uses it as a phone anymore. But if you want to chime in on YouTube, we got the comments open, and we'll read some and reply.
Yeah, we used to have this swift little saying that we'd say, like, hey, use your telephone as a microphone. And now that's kind of irrelevant. So, yeah, just use your keyboard as your microphone. Get vocal.
Indeed. So, yeah, we're here for an hour, and we have plenty of news to cover. So I'm ready when you are.
All right.
This is Need to Know News. News you need to know.
Hello, Americans. This is Paul Harvey. Stand by for news.
Steve Harness.
Wow.
Hey. That's me. I have my own jingle. That's how you know we're legit.
Okay.
All right, so let's run through some political news. The first one up to bat today. Oh, pun intended. What do you know?
Very good, dude. I'll give you one of these.
Where's the backup? I need someone to laugh at me. Come on.
Well, I'm not going to laugh at. That's just weak. You have so much better than that, dude. So let's get to the better stuff. That was, come on.
All right, I'm trying. All right, so this is interesting news that came out today. Major League Baseball reinstates Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson, making them eligible for the Hall of Fame. Now, Nick, I was talking to you about this earlier, and what was your immediate question to me when I brought up sports?
It's not really political. I mean, hey, let's be honest. I collected baseball cards as a kid. I don't know how to feel about this. I've got opinions on it, but is it political, Steve Harness? That's my question.
On one level, everything nowadays is political, and that is sad but true. But there actually is a direct political tie-in on this story. Okay?
All right. Whip it on me.
All right. So here's the thing. Today, Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred reinstated Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson, now making them eligible for the Hall of Fame. Manfred said the bans will now expire after death for anyone who has a lifelong ban. Both of these guys were bettors. Rose bet on his team, the Cincinnati Reds, in the late 80s, and shoeless Joe Jackson, he was part of that infamous White Sox team in 1919. They threw the World Series.
You remember that bastard. Come on. Field of Dreams.
Right? Yeah, he was in that, wasn't he, right?
Yeah, that's how everybody should know shoeless Joe Jackson. But, yeah, you're right to talk about the Sox and the scandal and everything else.
Yeah, and despite what my kids think, I did not watch this game live. You and I were born in 1976, and my son once said to me, isn't that when they signed the Declaration of Independence?
Jeez, dude. My niece and nephew say the same thing. I wonder what it feels like to be born in the 1900s. I'm like, oh, my God, dude.
Right. Yeah. 1976, 1776. So anyway, how was this story political? So Rose's supporters have included U.S. President Donald Trump, which still sounds weird to say, but So Trump's been an advocate for him for a while. Trump has said that he now intends to pardon Rose posthumously, because Rose did die, almost a year ago. And here's the thing. Trump and Manfred had a meeting at the White House only a few weeks ago, and the pair did discuss Donald Trump. And now, am I supposed to believe it's coincidence that this, commissioner of MLB decided to announce that, what do you know, we're going to make Trump happy, and they're eligible for the Hall of Fame now?
So many backroom deals, dude, that makes, this entire presidency very shady. It's always a backroom deal. This is not coincidence that, Mar-a-Lago, we have a meeting with TikTok. And then the next day, we're like, I love TikTok. It's that kind of feeling to it. But let's not get lost in the woods here that Pete Rose is so much like Donald Trump. Betting on games, doing this, behind the scenes. They think the rules don't apply to them. So I guess this doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And, I have a feeling that Trump is doing something like this because he wants any, rich white guys to be let off the hook when they break the law. I think he feels that if he does this for other dudes, that it normalizes his repeated violation of our laws.
You ever seen the guy play golf, dude? He cheats too, right? And then talks about all his winnings, and stuff like that. So yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all. It's crazy though. Pete Rose back into it, huh?
Yeah, indeed. So, I would imagine somewhere somebody has made a donation to Trump's presidential library, inaugural bar mitzvah. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but there is always somebody that makes a donation somewhere along this chain, and then magically Trump sees the light of day. So, yeah, Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson currently eligible, although under the current rules, they're not eligible until the 2028 voting or ballots or whatever. So we'll see if they change that. But a seemingly non-political story like baseball becomes very political because Trump put his thumb on the scale again. And by the way, this is the kind of crap a president would do in the last few months of their term, not the first few months. So
just going to say. Yeah, it's not funny, dude, that in this tumultuous world we're living in, that you really do have time to do this kind of shit?
Yeah. No, he absolutely does. So, hey, what do you know? I see some people chiming in on YouTube, so that's cool. Again, we're gonna look for messaging and comments and all that, and we're broadcasting live. We're actually live right now. It's a little after 5:00 here on the West Coast, so fun stuff.
Yeah, it feels good to be live. Well, congratulations to Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Need to know news.
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
News you need to know.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody's got time for that, for crying out loud. Hey, Steve, have you heard much about the firing of the Librarian of Congress?
No, I've heard that it's news. I don't know why any libraries are still open, but I assume the Library of Congress has an official job, but who knew there was an official librarian? You don't know about these things until somehow and for some reason they make news, which they never should.
Yeah, well, this is kind of serious because there's some issues going on here. Let me play you a quick video of with a little more info on the subject here, all right?
Just a few hours ago, the White House defended its decision to fire the head of the Library of Congress. So news of Carla Hayden's firing, it broke yesterday, but the administration did not immediately say why she was let go. Today, the White House press secretary gave this explanation.
We felt she did not fit the needs of the American people. There were quite concerning things that she had done at the Library of Congress in the pursuit of DEI and putting inappropriate books in the library for children, and we don't believe that she was serving the interests of the American taxpayer well, so she has been removed from her position.
All right, so we should point out the press secretary did not give any specific examples to back up those claims she mentioned there. Hayden, by the way, was the first woman and black person to lead the Library of Congress.
Oh, well, there it is right there. Can't have that go
Imagine that. Yeah, so kind of crazy. And I mean, here's the deal. Like, most people go to the Library of Congress to look up stuff that's happening in Congress. But yes, when I first saw that, I was like, do they have children's book at the Library of Congress? Like, what a statement to make. And yeah, they do. They have some different things that you can go look at for culture and other things. It's a full-on library that you don't check out stuff from, but you can do research there. But she's been fired and let go, and they never say or give any examples of exactly what's going on. And let's talk about how dangerous it is that they're using another backdoor here to start banning books. I mean, essentially, right, making them unavailable to people who want to see them.
Yeah, right. This is an epic problem we have. Children that just want to rush into libraries and read books.
Yeah. That's some poor behavior. We should be concerned about all of that.
And by the way, I mean, seriously, how many kids are checking out books from the Library of Congress or just even going there and reading them? If a child nowadays wants to read a book, I don't know if I care if it's 50 Shades of Grey. Let the kid read a freaking book. But what a false flag that's why they're doing it.
That's right. That's where the attention should be focused. What a false flag, because there are no kids out there reading 50 Shades of Grey. And really, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to know the statistics on kids going to the Library of Congress to check out information on a book, you know. The whole thing's just garbage, and it made sense that, oh, yeah, she's the first black woman, so, yeah, we got to get rid of her. What's this DEI crap? She's not qualified.
Anything involving DEI, they're trying to get rid of. And there's actually a related story to this. So those were stupid, vague reasons they gave to fire her. But then just today, they fired somebody else that worked, I guess, underneath her, basically. The Trump administration quietly fired. Quietly. Is that a library joke right there?
Shh. Stop.
They quietly fired the head of the U.S. Copyright Office. This happened over the weekend after her office issued a lengthy report condemning artificial intelligence companies for training their models on copywritten works, often without the copyright owner's consent or compensation. So, yes, this woman who works underneath the head librarian or whatever basically put out a memo saying that all these AI companies are violating copyright laws left and right, and Trump quietly fired her. So why? Why do you think he would do something like that?
Hey, dude, it's funny because, you know, when AI first started becoming a thing that we all saw, like, you would see people saying, like, hey, you're ripping off artists when you're having AI form these pictures because they pull from real pictures, right? So it became a thing. So I can only imagine that AI is something that Trump wants to see have very little problems as he pushes it forward with some of his cabinet or unofficial cabinet members.
Right. His buddies, like, yes, Mr. Elon Musk. You know, Musk has got huge investments in AI, and all of these companies, really. So get this, companies like OpenAI, Meta, which is Zuckerberg, and Elon Musk's XAI, are predicated on vast troves of data, not all of it acquired legally. Court records show that Mark Zuckerberg's Meta, for example, illegally downloaded nearly 82 terabytes of pirated books to train its AI model, which is called Llama. And how about this? Last year, an OpenAI whistleblower who alleged that the company was built on copyright violations was found dead of an apparent suicide. It's interesting.
It's funny how those things work out. Are you kidding me? I mean, no. You would think that a person with that much power and money could pay for this stuff, right? Pay the people who wrote the literature so they could train the AI, that type of stuff.
That would be the easy way to go, because honestly, as content creators ourselves, not only for this kind of stuff, but back when I was a musician and whatnot, like, one of the reasons you create content is to get paid for it. So obviously these tech companies have millions, if not billions, to be spending on all of this. And AI has become a multi-quadrillion dollar industry. It's not an exact number, but yeah, you would think they would just fork over some money so they could use the stuff legally and not be getting, in jeopardy of copyright violations, lawsuits, and having confidential whistleblowers just up and die all of a sudden.
How does this affect just like your normal humdrum person? Okay, I'll tell you that I have a friend, and she's a food photographer. So like, you know, she'll make websites for restaurants and stuff and take really pretty pictures of their food and stuff, and that's how she earns her living and pays her rent, puts a house over her head. Well, a couple of months ago, she posted on Facebook. She was like, people are stealing my pictures left and right, and talking about it. And so it happens all the time to everyday Americans. This is a serious deal.
Yeah. And this goes kind of back to the Napster thing when Metallica sued everyone for illegally downloading their music. And a lot of people were like, Metallica, you're multimillionaires. And which is true, but it takes the big dogs to stand up for the rest. And maybe some of those top tier content creators can cry me a river as far as losing a few bucks here and there. Not that it makes it okay. They're entitled to every dollar. But yeah, it's the smaller people like that are going to get screwed in this process. And AI is about to take so many jobs from regular humans. So at least while we're building it, you would think we could pay people properly. But yeah, this a woman made a stink about it and has been fired. And for example, Rep. Joe Morella, Democrat in New York, top Democrat on the Committee on Housing on the House Administration, highlighted Elon Musk's connection to the firing. He said, quote, "It is surely no coincidence that Trump acted less than a day after this woman refused to rubber stamp Elon Musk's effort to mine troves of copywritten works to train AI models."
That's crazy, dude. That is absolutely nuts. This is a mob mentality government for sure. Like, they're making hits, and some of them end lives, but some of them just end careers and send them out. You know, you send an old dog to the farm. That's what, we sent old Yeller to the farm. That's kind of how this government is working with people that are in their way.
Yep, indeed. I'm just perusing some of our comments going on here.
What do you got? Anything fantastic?
And by the way, the vocal minority has got it two meanings. One is it's you guys out there. It's the minority. It's you people without a voice, without a show. So that's one of the big reasons we do this, is to get people to comment and chime in. But it's also now, we're part of the minority in this country, the 48.5% of us that voted blue in the last election. So got a few meanings going on here. So let's see here. Zanaya Stragan. I tried to warn voters, you do not give power to someone who does sexual assault. They are about getting what they want, when they want it, however they want. Was I wrong? No, you weren't wrong whatsoever.
No, that's a great analogy. And yeah, good way to look at things for sure.
We got a few blue hearts going here. I always appreciate that. Few laughing my asses off going here, so good. All right,
yeah,
people are watching.
All right. Well, while you're there, subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep the content coming. These stories that we're going over today, these are all stories and news you need to know.
This is the only news you need to know. After all, this is Need to Know News. News you need to know. Enough said.
Yeah, that is perfect.
It is enough said. Yes.
Steve, let's talk a little bit about somebody named Hassan Piker. Let's see. This is a guy who is a left-wing media figure. Yeah, he streams on Twitch a lot and stuff like that, but he's one of the good ones. And I want to talk about the fact that Hassan was just detained at Chicago O'Hare's airport for nearly 2 hours, questioned about his political beliefs, including criticism of Trump and the Israel-Gaza conflict. This is happening. This is a story we can point to and say, like, okay, this is factual. We see it. But as I've been perusing social media, I've seen different people relating these stories, and people are starting to get worried. My wife included. She's mentioned a couple of things to me as you and I prepare to travel outside of the country. I'm seeing things like, for instance, today I saw a guy talking about, hey, it's time to delete your face app recognition on your phone and your fingerprint, if that's how you gain access to your phone, because people are going to the border, leaving to go into Canada or vice versa, and people are, getting their phones checked. People are looking at stuff to see, hey, are you somebody who hates Donald Trump? and I'll raise my hand. But when I'm crossing the border, maybe I should keep my hand down. I don't know. Things are feeling dangerous right now.
Yeah, I mean, I did just hear about a comedian. I forget their name, but they were saying they've done a bunch. It was a British comedian. That's what it was. And he said he's done a bunch of anti-Trump stuff, and he's not going to be touring in America for the next 3.5 years because he's afraid they know and they'll find out and harass him at the border. And I don't even know what your story is here, but I will just give generic advice to anyone out there. If you are not an ironclad U.S. citizen, and I don't mean you married in or you got your, immigration status if you are not born and raised in this country, do not leave this country right now. Because at a minimum, you might end up getting harassed for a few hours behind closed doors, or more likely get thrown in some jail for a couple of weeks while they figure things out.
And there was that girl who came in here from Canada, and I think she had dual residency, and she was kept in a detention center for, I don't remember, like a week or something like that, or a few days.
Yeah. And by the way, they shipped her away from where they arrested her because that's how they do it. They don't want you to have your lawyer or your family anywhere near you. So, all right. So what's the latest one?
That's the one I just told you about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's the one yeah. No, I don't have any video of this. I'm just speaking out on it. Obviously, this is raising alarms about the erosion of our free speech. The story we just did about the copyright, the Library of Congress, they are taking away our free speech one day at a time. And a lot of people aren't paying attention to what some may consider the smaller stuff. But 2 years ago, Rachel, my wife, told me, hey, we're heading for The Handmaid's Tale. I was like, no, there's no way. And I'm seeing parallels now that, maybe she was right. So, yeah, my advice is to be diligent, and you gave great advice. If you don't have residency here, if you're not ironclad, I don't think I would come into this country right now.
I definitely would not. I wouldn't leave this country if you're already here. And I will tell you, my little tourist hometown, I'm in Tahoe. I attended a tourism thing today for like community business leaders and stuff. And I was disgusted. I've been to these things before, and it's always about tourism trends. Politics dominated this conversation today in something that politics never came up in before. It was all about the fact that we are seeing 20 to 30% drop in Canadian tourism and Mexican tourism. I mean, the tourism industry all over the country, but specifically in my backyard, are getting hammered. And it's all artificial, happenings. None of this needs to be going on, but it is because of the rhetoric here. They're afraid to come here, and they kind of just want to stick it to America, which I can't really blame them.
Yeah, how do you feel about leaving the country, dude? I mean, we've had conversations of like, we're going to Greece in a month or so, and wearing T-shirts that said, like, I didn't vote for the guys because I don't want to be bothered over there. I want to let them know I'm one of the good ones, dude. I'm here to support your economy, enjoy your culture, and everything else. But there is some apprehension there, I have to admit.
There absolutely is. And I know you got Rachel, I didn't vote for him shirt, and I got Kennedy a shirt for her birthday saying I didn't vote for him. And part of me wants to wear the American or the Canadian flag or something on our backs, but I just don't want somebody quizzing me about what poutine is or poutine, whatever that. Like
poutine, dude. Come on.
Poutine. So I don't want mad Canadians being pissed at me for disrespecting their culture. But yeah, I'm worried about leaving the country and getting harassed over there. So I assume we exude liberalism and people will be nice to us, but I am curious to see how this goes.
I hope so. Well, good luck to us both, and good luck to you all out there.
This is Need to Know News. News you need to know. Start the news chant, please. Come on! News, 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 news!
I'm just watching the comments on YouTube. People are having their own little debate in there, too, so that's good. And I see Really American is on there chiming in, too, so it's fun.
Oh, that's good.
The whole team.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue. This is the vocal minority, Nick and Steve. He's Nick, I'm Steve, 30-year radio guys that have come to the podcast world, and we're part of the Really American crew now. We're hosting some of the short-form videos, but then we're going to be doing this podcast live as well, so fun stuff.
Thanks for being here.
Yes. All right. So here's another fun one that happened today in the news cycle. Chief Justice John Roberts says that kids these days, they just don't appreciate the rule of law. Can't imagine why.
The kids don't?
Right. Let's see. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts characterized the rule of law as endangered in our country when he spoke last night. Who could he possibly be referencing? You would think overtly Trump, but he went on here. He says he avoided any mention of Trump's relentless public attacks on the nation's justice system, pointing instead to the trend of young people growing up without proper civics lessons.
Wow. That's hilarious that he's shining that light outward and not inward. I mean, are you kidding me right now?
Right. So here's a little fun role playing. Let me play I'm gonna read you the quote that he said, and then I'll do something fun with this here. So John Roberts said, quote, "Young people, they're focused on high school and 8th grade and stuff like that. And how many people really have no understanding of what the role of the courts are, what the different branches have to do, really even the notion of law, of what law is and what the Constitution is." So he's talking about kids there. Let me just replace kids with Trump. Trump, he's so focused on high school and 8th grade, which I think still applies, that he has no idea of an understanding of what the role of the courts are, what the different branches of government do, and Trump really has no notion of what the law or the Constitution is. So, like I said, he's talking about kids for some reason, but everything he just said, you could either swap it out and apply it to Trump, or do you think he's just projecting? He knows damn well what he's saying, but he just wants to code it.
I don't know. That's a good question because, you don't want to get slapped down. You don't want to go against Trump. And maybe that is his covert way of talking about it. And hopefully the poorly educated will pick up on it. You know what I mean? But what a story, dude. For him to say all that stuff is entirely laughable. Maybe Trump knows how the courts are supposed to work, but he doesn't care how they work and wants to completely disregard and change it.
Yeah, no, spot on. Like I said, there's a lot of projecting going on there. John Roberts has grown some level of balls by trying to call Trump out, but to make this statement today and to just not bring up Trump whatsoever and to point the blame at children is pretty comical. As I'm sure everyone watching this knows, Trump has repeatedly broken the law. He's questioned our election system. He doesn't know if he's supposed to uphold the Constitution and the process, or, the concept of due process. He has called for judges that disagree with him to be impeached. And then, speaking of John Roberts, the Supreme Court essentially have given all presidents immunity as long as it's an official act, which all a president has to do is say it's an official act, and they have immunity. So, yeah, crazy notion. People don't think the rule of law applies anymore. Don't know why.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And, I guess we'll see what happens with the Supreme Court. We have seen them push back a little bit, but the courts in general, that branch of government, are the only thing that we have seen holding anything together here for the last 100+ days. So yes. I'm bowing down to the courts. I want to treat them kind and with respect. But, I mean, this is, if you're not pointing this at Trump and it's actually about kids, it's kind of garbage. I mean, maybe kids don't know because they see how Trump treats it. So he's standing up and saying, like, let's give them a lesson because they actually need to know how this stuff works. And I'll take that.
Of course they're seeing it. This is what kids do. They see adult behavior, they absorb it, they regurgitate it. And, yeah, I mean, we elected a king. I know you hate it when I call him King Trump, but this election got him off the hook for multiple violations of law. I mean, the guy would be sitting in jail right now. I am 100% sure of that. He was going to get sentenced to prison for, everything that happened in New York. Judge Merchan decided to delay that until after the election. He would only have delayed it until after the election if he knew it would influence the election. In other words, he knew he was sending Trump to prison. Otherwise, he would have just announced it was a slap on the wrist. We could have all moved on. But, so, yeah, I would imagine kids are seeing this and thinking the law doesn't really apply to them, too. And people ignoring subpoenas and all of this stuff. If it applies to the president, why would it not apply to me?
Hey, dude, you know how we talk constantly about the fact that, from 2016, and I'll even say 2015, because, we saw Trump around that time. It has felt like 1 million years. Can you imagine if you're I don't know, kindergartner was born in 2015 and all they have absorbed from, in the last 10 years, they have a really, really skewed vision of what this world is, what it's supposed to be, what you can get away with, what you can't get away with it. It's very skewed.
That is a phenomenal point because, as you know, my son's 15, my firstborn is 19. They are politically savvy because they hang around me a lot and I'm always talking news and politics. But essentially, their entire life, as far as what they remember for the last 10 years, so when my firstborn was 9 and when my son was 5, that's when all of this started. So fast forward 10 years, they only know Trump, the era of Trump and the stink of Trump and all of the shenanigans and garbage we've been going through. So, of course kids think that. And our Zinyaya Dragon guy, he says the U.S. Marshals have legal grounds to arrest Trump. So what's the holdup? This is the problem. Of course he's breaking the law. We've seen it repeatedly, but who's going to enforce that?
Yeah, that's why we're all so frustrated, dude. That's so many times we've seen go get that MFer, and it's just, I don't know, it's hollow, I suppose.
We have seen elected officials on the Republican side already admit, technically that violates the law, which was my favorite quote. I remember, I think it was Lindsey Graham maybe that said that, technically it violated the law. Nick, your wife is a lawyer. Is there any way to violate the law besides technically?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah.
He sort of metaphysically violated the law, so we're just going to let that slide. But no. So, of course, kids think that there is no rule of law or that it's highly subjective. So thank you, John Roberts.
Hey, dude, we were even thinking, your son before this election was all of the kids my age in school are Trump this, Trump that. And you asked them why. And they all think that he's cool. And they're hearing, their parents talk about he says whatever he wants. He's not a politician. So, this is going to be even more serious for the next election because some of these kids are starting to age up and will be able to vote sooner than later.
Yes, I think that is why young men are swinging towards Trump. Because, my son said that if I didn't hang around you, Dad, if I didn't hear all the things Trump does terribly, I would be pro-Trump because that's what he sees on social media in his little world. The dudes, young guys are all like, Trump's awesome, man. He bucks the system. And, whether it's, sexual exploits or just flat out breaking the law, they somehow think this is cool. So, yes, John Roberts, you have facilitated a lot of these shenanigans and it trickles down. So stop trying to blame the kids and take a look in a mirror.
Yeah, and start educating them in the right way then. That would be more. We could throw problems out, but if you don't have a solution and you're in that position of power, just don't even throw out the problem if you're not going to come up with a solution.
I thought we were trying to protect the kids. He's trying to blame the kids.
That's right. Think about the children, Stephen.
This is Need to Know News. News you need to know.
Man. This is what I want to talk about. Okay, you ready for this? Do you know anything about Oklahoma?
Just that I don't want to go there or live there.
All right.
And I know the Sooner State. See, I know a lot.
See, you've got a lot of information on Oklahoma. The only thing I really know about Oklahoma is that my grandma was born there. And I think, she's pretty good. She was a pretty good person. So I'm assuming there's good people from Oklahoma. Well, I feel for them because you've heard maybe that Oklahoma ranks 49th in education, which that's a bummer, right?
Well, if you ask people in Oklahoma, they think they rank 55th out of our 50 states.
That's now I'll laugh at that joke because that's pretty good. What I will tell you this is there's a new curriculum coming into the Oklahoma schools, and I'm going to play you a little video here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about.
Next school year, Oklahoma teens statewide will have something new in their social studies curriculums, a section on the president's on President Trump's first term with a lesson centered on the 2020 election, where students will be asked to, quote, identify discrepancies in 2020 elections and the results by looking at graphs and other information, including the sudden halting of ballot counting in select cities in key battleground states, the security risks of mail-in balloting, sudden batch dumps, an unforeseen record number of voters, and the unprecedented contradiction of bellwether county trends. That right there is despite overwhelming evidence that there were no significant irregularities in the 2020 election results.
Yeah, that's true. So we were just talking about the children and what we're teaching them and, how we move forward with educating them because they're all going to vote one day. This is complete crap because obviously these claims that have been debunked by 60 plus court cases, the FBI, the DOJ, and Trump's own DHS, but now they are going to be part of high school curriculum. So this leaves me to think, okay, here we go. The state is already failing students completely academically. 49th in reading, 48th in math, and 50th in college readiness. So you would think instead of fixing those problems, why are you focusing on this? This is pure indoctrination, right?
I was just going to say that. They always say how, colleges are liberal indoctrination. What it really is education and facts, and then that opens up people's minds from what they were taught in their small little hometown in Oklahoma. But this is literally indoctrination. It's teaching flat-out propaganda and lies. The only upside I can see is that there's no way to fail that class. Because if you say it's all garbage, that's accurate. If you say it's all true, in that world, apparently it's accurate. So when there is no reality, I don't see how you can possibly fail that test.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's like, what's next? Like if we go into geography, are we going to start teaching that the earth is flat? Like, are we going to start teaching these conspiracy theory courses? Because, I'll go back to school, dude, because it would be easier. But this is just incredible. There is a lawsuit that has already been filed over the standards. And they're saying it could jeopardize federal funding or accreditation. So, I mean, this opens the door for other states to do the exact same thing and normalize this life lesson, which is so scary to me.
Right. First of all, it's not jeopardizing any federal funding. It's probably going to get them more federal funding, not
you
less.
Think? Yeah.
And let's see, someone on YouTube with my new favorite username, Poop Sock, Nick, is chiming in. Would you like to hear what Poop Sock has to say?
Nothing would delight me more.
He says that this sounds like grooming, what they claim to fear so much. And it's true. Grooming, indoctrination, force-feeding Fox News garbage to your children. And, Oklahoma. There are so many southern states that I feel like they're just begging for nobody smart to live there. I mean, this will trickle down through the generations, but I don't know why the hell any intelligent person, anyone who reads a newspaper, would be living in Oklahoma.
You know what, though? The sad thing is that some people don't have the choice, right? So if I'm born there, or, and I don't have the money to get out, which is a common theme, not everybody can move their whole life and everything else. So this is really sad, but this is when the citizens of a state have to stand up and say, no, this is garbage. But that's not what's happening here. I don't know.
I mean, on one hand, I'll give you a ride if that's the issue. I'll come pick you up. I'll take you to the neighboring state if you can. Yeah, if you can't afford to get out of Oklahoma. But more so, this is the old F around and find out. This is what you voted for, Oklahoma. You're a deeply red state, and now you're literally teaching ignorance to your children. So congratulations. This will get you nothing but more federal assistance from blue states like California. So you're welcome.
Yeah. Thank God for California, right? I mean, people don't realize how much federal funding you create that a lot of these people get but don't vote for. I mean, constantly voting against your own interests. We've seen it over and over again. So
yeah. Someone on here just said that you guys remind me of Bob and Doug McKenzie. There's a current reference.
That's awesome. I'll take that, eh?
I was going to say, first of all, we're not Canadian, but Bob and Doug McKenzie, the 80s, I think they were at their peak. So
late 70s, yeah.
Yeah. Good comedy duo. And honestly, like we were saying, with our trip abroad coming up here, maybe we should adopt this sort of Canadian energy that we're apparently putting off.
Yeah, let's get into the rhythm of ketchup, potato chips, and poutine. All right.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you...
We interrupt our program to bring you a special...
Here is a news bulletin. We interrupt this program to bring you...
All the humanity and all the faith.
A date which will live in infamy.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Need to know news. News you need to know.
Yeah. I'm having fun. You having fun with this?
Yeah, completely, dude. I mean, we do a podcast. We've been doing a podcast for a while, like you mentioned before, from radio to podcast, but it's nice to have the live audience out there making comments and,
Yeah. No, this reminds me of the good old days. Yeah, Nick and I started this on the radio in the early 2000s in Seattle. We were syndicated into the Baltimore, D.C. area, Wichita, Kansas, and it was always fun doing live radio. And then, we started doing podcast a few years ago, and, we weren't doing it live anywhere, so it was just you and me talking. And now it's fun to have an audience. We got people chiming in on YouTube. I've got people texting me on my phone like they're listening, so it's all good.
Yeah, like hopefully the people that are chiming in, hopefully they're already subscribed to Really American. And if they're not, subscribe to the channel because the platform as a whole puts out fantastic content. I mean, they've got a lot of big brains, brains behind the scenes working to bring you content and keep you in the resistance and the fight on a daily basis. So thanks for being here.
Spot on, because, that's what we're doing here. And by the way, as we do this more, we're going to have some of the other hosts on. We'll have some guests on. But, the basic concept is we're here live trying to run through some of the political news of the day. So, do you remember, this was several months back, but Jon Stewart had a big viral hit where he was interviewing some jackass talking about banning drag shows. And this same elected official would never think about infringing the Second Amendment for gun rights, but he was completely fine with infringing on the First Amendment of freedom of speech. And Stewart did a great job just nailing him.
It was surgical, dude. I mean, it was amazing. It's one of those takedowns that give you the chills because you're like, couldn't have done it any better. So, we're big Jon Stewart fans around here. So, he's done it many times, but I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, so as of just today, it turns out the courts down south there have proven Jon Stewart to be 100% correct. The Florida drag ban has been halted by an appellate court. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit halted a ban on minors attending family-friendly drag shows in Florida today after the judges ruled 2-1 that it violated what? The First Amendment.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
The ruling is considered a significant victory for Hamburger Mary's of Orlando. They're the restaurant that was kind of at the center of this. They sued to try to get this law smacked down. And the funny thing about this law is it doesn't actually mention drag shows. They tried to do it in some weird, subtle way, I guess. It defined them as adult live performances. That's what are banned, these certain types of adult live performances that have lewd exposure of prosthetic or imitation genitals or breasts. That's the drag queen part of it. And when it predominantly appeals to prurient, shameful, or morbid interests. And I'm not afraid to admit, I had to look up what prurient means. I've never seen or used that word. It means overtly sexual. Are you up on that one?
I was going to say, I obviously know, but please tell the audience,
Yes. No, I know you know, of course. But yes, so overtly sexual. And for anyone using an imitation genitalia or breasts. So one of the judges down there, Judge Robin Rosenbaum, commented that the Florida lawmakers had essentially applied a non-legal definition of obscenity, which was popularized by Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart in the 1960s, who famously said that when it comes to obscenity, that, quote, you'll know it when you see it. And so that's what Florida was trying to say. Like, we see it and we know it's, it's bad. But this judge pointed out that many are familiar with that quote. However, it's not legally binding. And that what this law was attempting to do uses a broad and imprecise method when the First Amendment permits only a narrow and precise one. So they're going heavily wide with their interpretation of what is obscene, as opposed to the judge saying it's actually a very narrow interpretation. And just because it offends you. And by the way, a public performance that's overtly sexual, are there no cheerleaders? Does the NFL teams down there, no one has cheerleaders? Like, where would you possibly draw the line as to what is overtly sexual? I mean, any TV commercial.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. Like, we had half of America clutch their pearls when we saw a man kneeling for the national anthem on the football field. But no one's ever said anything about the skimpy outfits of, cheerleaders or Olympic sports. We're seeing some of those outfits get skimpier and skimpier. So, yeah, I mean, it's all crazy, dude. We also have a president who talks about whose peanut was he talking about? He was talking about Arnold Palmer or Jack Nicklaus, maybe. Yeah. I mean, we have presidents talking about dicks and other things, and you're worried about this. Have you ever been to a drag show?
I have, actually. New Year's Eve this past year, I was at one.
Okay. I mean, did it chub you up? I mean, did it make you horny or uncomfortable?
Well, I don't know if I'm the standard barometer for everyone, but no, it did not chub me up. I found it entertaining. I mean, when I go to a Metallica concert, I don't chub up either, but I do find it entertaining, and that drag show was. And by the way, it was raising money for local charities and stuff. And even though it was at an adults-only bar, it was never what I would even remotely consider to be overtly sexual. It was barely even sexual. It was people dancing.
And I bet you, dude, they talk about, we had this huge phenomenon of drag show readings, stuff like that. I guarantee you the show you saw was for a more mature audience than these readings are. It's just crazy that they are trying to talk about this, and I really do feel like it is just trying to get our attention off other important crap that's going on in our country. Leave this alone, dude.
It's all about redirection, and it's all about owning the libs. That is MAGA's number one agenda in life. So if us libs were, to denounce drag shows all of a sudden, they would probably embrace them. There'd be a drag show on the Rose Garden on Sunday. So, yeah.
We need to start doing some reverse psychology and see if it works.
Right. I did see a comedian recently talking about that you can't outsmart MAGA, you have to outdumb them. So essentially, if we just all embrace drag shows and put them everywhere, or claim that, I don't know, anything, popes, the Pope wears a dress, right? Isn't that drag then, technically? Yeah. So, let's ban the Pope.
Speaking. So, no, that's crazy, dude. I mean, that argument will never stop. Any comments? I see you leaning in there.
Yeah. Somebody wants to know what a drag show is. Are we mispronouncing? I think we know what that is. Let me see here. This dragon guy who's been commenting quite a bit said, I once went to a mixed type club only to experience that I was nervous only because I'm religious and shouldn't have been there in the first place. I was just curious. So the guy went to a drag show at a club and he felt he should be nervous, but I think he's being sarcastic.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
maybe some people feel that way. Maybe some people actually feel that way, because that has been driven into a lot of people's heads. Yeah, you've never been to church, right? I mean, you've been to a funeral, but you've never gone to church, dude.
I mean, unfortunately, I've been to church. It's one of the reasons I don't go back again. So.
You're such a sinner, dude. I mean, you really are quite a sinner.
In all the right ways, yes.
Yeah, that's
all
true.
Right.
This is Need to Know News. News you need to know.
Hello, Americans. This is Paul Harvey. Stand by for news.
Hey, dude, I want to talk just a little bit about Trump's big announcement that he was teasing. I'm sure most of us have heard, I think last week he came on and said, couple of days, going to have that big announcement. It's the biggest announcement the world has ever heard, and it's going to be real good. Well, then he made it finally, and the big reveal was an executive order to reduce drug prices by up to 90%. Have you seen him talking about this at all?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, when they went to the announcement for that executive order, the dude rambled and rambled and rambled. He was doing the weave and epic proportions, talked about everything but that. So I faded off at some point, but then I've seen the highlights since. Yes.
Let me start by saying this, Steve, that a lot of times on this podcast, on this show, we've talked about that the difference between us and the maggots out there is that if Donald Trump does something that's actually good for our country, like, we'll acknowledge it, right? They would not do that with Biden when good things happened. You know, it didn't matter how good it was. They're not going to mention it because Biden's the enemy. Well, let me tell you that Trump is my enemy. I mean, he's my enemy. But if you do something good for our country, I'm going to say it. And if you can get this actually done, yeah, I'll applaud that. But let's listen to him talk a little bit about how he got here, okay? Because you haven't seen this, and if you haven't, it's fantastic and delightful.
A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up, President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on? He said, so I checked. And it's the same box, made in the same plant, by the same company. It's the identical pill that I buy in New York. And here I'm paying $88 in London. In New York, I'm paying $1,300. Now, this is a great businessman, but he's not familiar with this crazy situation that we have. But he was stunned.
Yeah, the fat bastard was stunned, Steve. I mean, this fat piece of crap, well, this fat, narcissistic, really great businessman was stunned.
Honestly, I thought you were punking me when that first started. That wasn't an AI overdub. He was really referring to the fat, narcissistic, whatever it was.
Yeah, and it started out as the fat shot, but it ended up as a pill. I mean, this is how, this person came to me, sir. He was crying. He had tears in his eyes. These are how his stories start out when you know that, like, oh, he's making this up. You don't have a fat, neurotic friend who's taking a fat shot or a fat pill, so.
And he's just hotlining to the Oval Office, and Trump's taking time out of his day to talk to his fat buddy in London about drug prices over there.
Completely, dude. So, this is how he got this big idea of how, this is going to be huge for America. So he signed an executive order. And as you know, executive orders don't create laws. They direct federal agencies on how to enforce existing laws or policies. But no one necessarily has to follow this. I mean, you didn't get drug prices 50, 60, 70, 80, or even 90% down. This is all for looks. This is all to look great, right?
Absolutely. I mean, those that can do, by which I'm referring to passing laws, because the problem with executive orders is they aren't laws. You have a mechanism to do that. I don't know if Trump's read up on how democracy works, but this will just get held up in the courts forever because that's what happens with executive orders. And, the MAGA types are applauding him left and right every time he puts that dumb comical signature on these things, even though they hated it when Biden and Obama did executive orders. I mean, there's intelligent ways to do it, but he is just doing this for show. It's going to get held up in the courts forever. And what happened to the MAGA principle of not interfering with business? I mean, isn't that some form of communism to be telling businesses how much they can charge? And by the way, I'm not in favor of the high drug prices. I'm just talking on principle here.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of his weave, right? Or their weave. It only matters when it matters to them. So, like you said, I mean, this will get held up in the courts, and I can't see a whole lot happening with this. Trump did make up a new word that I think they're going to add to the dictionary based off all this. This is his plan moving forward and how he's going to take on, drug prices.
Well, we're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%. but actually more than that if you think about it in the way mathematically. Basically, what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize, where we're all going to pay the same.
Wow. I saw a movie recently called The Equalizer. I didn't know that was about Trump.
That was very foreshadowing, dude. It's a great word.
That word?
Yeah, I don't know if he just talks and, spews bullshit. I don't know. I've never seen anyone like him before. A great word I came up with. Everything's great. No one's ever seen before. We're going to equalize things. So, yeah.
I love it when he gets, fascinated with words he apparently does not know, like equalizing or groceries. That was the other big one. Groceries. It's a word that describes stuff you get at a store and eat. Like it's a new concept to him.
An old-fashioned word. People don't use it anymore. Groceries, No, sir. You make up words like covfefe. Like, I'll give you credit for that if we can roll back to that. But, yeah, you did not make up the word equalize. So, once again, I'm sure the pattern is coming of, big promises and small delivery. So, yeah, I don't expect much to happen. When we see Bernie Sanders working hard on prescription drug prices, like, I feel like that's a guy, if given the opportunity, that could have really done some things. And let's not forget, he made some comment throughout this past couple of days where, like, I'm the only president to ever get any drug prices down, for over a year. Biden did. I mean, I think Biden's responsible for getting insulin down, way down and affordable for the masses. So, yeah, that's not true. Nothing you say is true.
No. Can we just comment real quick, though, on how orange he was in that press conference?
Oh, I thought so, too. I was like, who did your spray tan today, dude? They had to be caffeined up, coked up, or just an amateur.
It's on a long list of things that man does that disturbs me, but how does he look in a mirror and think that looks anywhere near human?
I don't know. It's become part of his costume now, though, right? Remember when we have a video of, I don't remember if it was Kimmel or Fallon messing up his hair. Like, the hair was the first part of his costume. And now he's spray tanned. He's got a long tie that hangs down way below his penis, and he's got a costume on. So I think that's just his uniform.
And by the way, he was talking about that fat guy taking the pill. Like, a lot of people think he's been on Ozempic because he has actually slimmed down quite a bit since he's been in the office because, he's a raging narcissist. I'm surprised it took him that long to get to it.
Yeah, completely. I think the reports I read said that he had lost 20 pounds, breaking the obesity mark to severely overweight. So, yeah, I mean, who are you to call some guy a fat narcissist? Again, I guess that's a bit of projection,
Right.
So,
all right. We're running low on time. We can go a little over, I guess, but let's proceed.
All right. We'll do it now.
This is Need to Know News. News you need to know.
Hi, Stephen. This is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me?
We're getting some cheers on here. We have some MAGA turds in the comment section here on YouTube. It's fun. Everyone seems to be looking that out, though.
Good.
So,
good.
All right. Yeah. All right. Listen, we the only good thing about Trump is that it is job security for us all. It's what we're going to be talking about for the next 3+ years. But I do have a story about a Democrat, and you'll tell me if this Democrat deserves cheers or jeers.
Oh, I love cheers or jeers. All right, bring it on, Stephen.
All right, Ivana Rohrer, if I'm pronouncing that right, figured that someone would out her on the campaign trail, so she got ahead of the story and did it herself. Rohrer is a Democratic candidate for Virginia's House of Delegates in the 47th District, and she revealed on social media over the weekend that she is married and ethically non-monogamous. In other words, she's a swinger.
Yeah, with permission, though.
Yes,
ethically
non-monogamous means that you and your spouse are on the same page and they're swingers. And she said, in politics, people love to dig up the unexpected and spin it into a spectacle. I don't do shame, and I sure won't give anyone else the opportunity to tell my story. She went on to say, this is not something that we have hidden from our adult children, our closest friends, and the majority of our family members.
Okay.
But, first of all, Do you want to discuss your swinging sex life with your adult children or anyone in your family?
I personally don't, but I don't have a problem with anyone else doing it, right? It's not my life.
I will say, so she just said the majority of her family members. So that would kind of hint that there's a minority of her family that may not agree with this. So here's the funny part. First of all, her and her husband together, 22 years. They started swinging a few years ago. She says they haven't done it in 6 months. I don't know what that means, but she said that her husband's parents are the ones that are upset, almost as upset as when they found out that she was running as a Democrat.
Wow. Those things are one and the same to them?
Yes.
Well, so,
obviously, MAGA types.
Yeah, you got some maggots over there for sure. Listen, dude, here's the thing. I don't want to say anything about if you're not harming anyone and this is all consensual, like, what do I care? You know what? I think that they probably, because they are open and living their authentic lives while not hurting or harming anybody, have a great marriage. I mean, it's not the marriage I see for myself, but yeah, do what you do. It all sounds responsible and above board to me, so why do I care? It has nothing to do with being a bad person or, being a Democrat. Like, you're almost as disappointed as me being a Democrat. Go screw yourself, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Or get your neighbor to screw yourself in the swinging world. And honestly, does this affect somebody's ability to be a politician? I mean, you're right. The most MAGA Republican types are the don't say gay, the anti-gay, anti-transgender, and then they're blowing dudes in a truck stop. So I at least give her credit for coming out and owning it. And honestly, a politician who's a swinger, I mean, we know they're good at networking, good at multitasking. Right?
Yes, yeah, that's good points. I didn't even think of them.
Yeah, and she's used to getting the shaft repeatedly from all sorts of people on all sorts of sides of the aisle. So again, I think that makes her perfect to be a politician.
Yeah, maybe more people should be opening up and doing this, dude. It really does put a good resume in front of us all. I'd vote for her.
Right. So there you go. I don't know what to do. We're about at the hour mark. Technically, we should be wrapping this up. Do you want to do one more, or what should we do here?
If you got something you want to do, I can play you. I can play you a little video of Trump falling asleep in Saudi Arabia if you'd like to see that.
I have not seen that, so yes, go ahead.
Okay, let me grab it. Let's see here. God,
I know this guy's a narcissist. Apparently, he's narcoleptic. I mean, because seriously, I've never seen somebody who falls asleep in so many settings. I mean, we're talking the Pope's funeral, legal prosecutions against the man.
Yeah.
And apparently now the list goes on and on. So,
yeah, I think I lost it, dude. I think I lost it.
God damn you.
Damn it. I don't know where it went. I know. I didn't mean to tease you, dude, but I think I lost it. Yeah,
well, so
I lost it.
What's the point? He fell asleep because he's in Saudi Arabia today, I know, right?
Yeah, at his welcoming ceremony. I mean, there's video of him, when he was in court, they were talking about, important shit. He falls asleep and sometimes farts in his sleep, stuff like that. There was no rumor of any tooting happening, Stephen, but he did fall asleep. I mean, they got the camera right on him and they describe it as a nod off, and I don't think that's drug related, but I mean, he kind of nods off, closes his eyes, and there's people speaking, like things are happening. He should be attentive and listening, and then he kind of startles up and opens his eyes again, and it just makes you think, like, what must people think about us, dude, that our president can't even stay awake. Like, was it a presidential power nap? I mean, they're trying to spin it into like he's just resting his eyes. You guys are so critical. Yeah, it's not a place for anyone, especially a president, to rest their eyes. So yeah, it's a little bit crazy.
Well, and this is the man that called, Biden Sleepy Joe Biden repeatedly, because Trump does like to project. Almost everything he ever criticizes or throws at someone else is something he either is trying to hide himself or is guilty of. So I don't recall Biden falling asleep, period, but Trump has done it at almost every public event there is. And I have noticed, I just want to say, if they're not talking about Trump, he will fade off and fall asleep. But at his own criminal trial, I mean, that was all about him, and he's still falling asleep. So again, I know there's such a huge category of this, but if Obama did it, if Biden did it,
that's right.
If they were just falling asleep, the MAGA world would freak out. Yet, as always, they find a way to spin it that, oh, yeah, he's resting his eyes because he's working so hard.
Dude, he's taking a presidential power nap, okay? Give the guy a break. Like, he's just resting his eyes and, he's taking it all in. He just doesn't need to see it or act attentive. You're so right. I mean, if Biden would have fallen asleep, if Obama would have fallen asleep in anything, especially official, like they would have been all over him.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. I'm just looking at this fun argument going on in the comments section here.
What is it?
I don't know. People are arguing he's got a very healthy orange glow. Yes, he does. Feels bad for kink sharing. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm holding up my tablet in front of my monitor. Sorry. Oligarchs rule, says a MAGA type with no self-awareness whatsoever. Oh, this MAGA guy, Gates, Buffett, Bezos. I could go on. I love it when the MAGA types start pointing out, Bezos and Bill Gates with no self-awareness that an oligarch billionaire moved into the White House, bought a presidency, is essentially the unelected president in this country. So do we want powerful, rich oligarch billionaires having their hand up a president's puppet hole or do we not?
Puppet hole. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, I don't know, dude. People don't know what they want. I mean, we know what we want, but they don't know what they want.
Yeah. Well, listen, all right, we've done our hour. Honestly, anyone watching this right now, this has been a total trial run. Nick and I have been doing this show for years, and you can find our pages here on YouTube and everywhere else, see some of the highlights. Full podcast available on all the platforms. But, yeah, so we're the new hosts here on Really American, and we've been doing some of the short daily videos, and someone in the comments asked where they can find our videos. It's on the page. We're one of the hosts, so we're mixed in with all that, and you can find it there. But yeah, find the social medias, and we're going to be doing this. I haven't figured out how often. I think daily, but we'll see how crazy this drives us. So. Yeah,
we don't know. We'll figure it out, though. We're going to be back tomorrow. So, yeah, join us again tomorrow. See our webpage in the meantime, thevocalminority.net. And, yeah, subscribe to the platform. We'll keep good content coming along with the rest of the folks here on Really American.
Yeah, we got to figure out a method for replying to all these messages. I mean, we may go on after the show's done here, but we want everyone involved. We are doing the show truly live right now. If you're watching this, it says live. We're actually sitting here. It's just after 6 o'clock on the West Coast right now. So yeah, get vocal. It's the vocal minority. That's the whole concept. So keep tuning in. Like, comment, share. You're part of the resistance. You are part of the vocal minority.
Indeed, you are. Until next time, friends.
This has been a production of the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. Thanks for joining us on the Really American platform. Make sure to like and subscribe so you continue to get the content you need to stay in the fight. And remember, for every new subscriber, Trump's ego isn't the only thing that shrinks. That's a penis joke. Stay vocal, friends. Until next time.